Global warming is basically a hoax.
We should actually recycle.
Reduce the use of plastics.
Nuclear plant, what do you think?
Renewable energy is actually quite promising in Kazakhstan.
So you are Professor Mannix Balanay in chemistry,
Yes.
working in Nazarbayev University.
Yes, and you are Professor Woojin Lee from
Yeah.
the School of Engineering and Digital Sciences.
I'm working in the civil and environmental engineering, and I have very big interest in the water treatment and also global warming.
The former President Trump actually said global warming is basically a hoax, right?
As a scientist, I strongly believe it is not hoax. It is the reality. It is very serious environmental problem which we need to confront and which we need to solve. Yeah, very serious.
Have you seen in the movies that probably you could actually poison the whole city using the water supply?
Yeah, that is a very interesting, topic. I think you can see most of the people actually who want to see a blockbuster of Hollywood. Well, you can see the bad guys actually, put some toxins into the sewage system. Not sewage. I mean, the water supplying system. But if we just focus on the toxicology side, it is possible. But as a civil and environmental engineer side, is very difficult. Do you think does planting the trees Amazon or planting the trees in the desert can improve environmental problems? I mean, solve the environmental problems, global warming things.
So technically, if each and every person do his own stuff, so every little things could actually, if every people in the world do very little things, in general, it could actually definitely help the environment. So planting trees could actually now solve some of our carbon dioxide problem. So it could also increase the oxygen and also could actually help us have this carbon footprint. Okay?
Yeah, right, right. So I believe photosynthesis usually, during the daytimes, CO2 consumption and O2 production.
Yeah,
definitely.
But the thing here is you could not just plant, you need to plant it strategically. There is now a bit of different communities that we need to actually do recycling. Okay, so there's actually 3R: recycle, reuse, and
upcycle.
Yeah, technically it's an upcycle. Okay, but what do you think about that one?
We should actually recycle. We should recycle. Yeah.
For me, is before we could actually recycle, is we just need to actually do waste minimization. So we have first to minimize the waste. Okay, so we don't think about recycling in general. We have to think about how to minimize the waste, because the major problem nowadays, especially here in Kazakhstan or in other parts of the CIS or in any those countries which have not yet fully developed their waste recycling plant, is how to recycle.
Is global warming is the same thing to climate change? Many
people are actually now interchangeably use global warming and climate change. So as you said, climate is synonymous to the word weather. Okay,
Yep.
And in the sense it's global, so it's basically warming. So it's basically talking some weather patterns with regards to the increase in temperature of the land. Okay, or basically it's the surface. So for me as a scientist, it's basically global warming is part of the climate change. Okay, so climate change is basically more of a general term, wherein the global warming is part of it.
Right.
Okay? There is now an increase demand of using electric cars, which can actually bring down the use of fossil fuels. So will it actually help reduce?
Definitely. Yeah, so I want to purchase, Toyota Prius. Yeah, we need to buy that.
Yes. Yes, I do agree, but it also depends on the source of the electricity that you are actually putting in the car.
Yeah, well,
Yes, because if you are actually using also a coal power plant supplying your electricity, so it really depends.
nuclear plant, what do you think?
Technically, the existing technology of the nuclear energy is basically what makes it bad is the waste that it actually produces. Okay, but the energy, if the energy that they are actually producing is way, way better than if you set up a coal power plant or a fossil fuel plant. Okay, but it's more, say, advantageous for me.
What do you think about the wind power or something renewable energy in Kazakhstan?
Well, Kazakhstan in general, because of its very vast empty space, renewable energy is actually quite promising in Kazakhstan. Okay, especially for two renewable sources, the wind and the solar, because of their layout of the land. 20 companies are actually the major contributors of plastic waste. So, what can you say?
We humans actually eat 5 plastic bottle, just like the 1 liter. It is not 1 liter, right? 1 liter,
that's right.
5 1 liter plastic bottle every year.
Yes.
So we are consuming that.
First one is minimize waste.
Then we can recycle it.
Yes. Okay. Then plant trees, reduce the use of plastics. For the parents is teach your children proper way of living, which is sustainable and green. So that's very important. Sustainability, environmentally sustainable type of living.
Just because you have money, you want to purchase, large muscle car. Instead of that, if you can purchase, electric, very simple, car, well, that can make you happier actually, right? So I think even you are not the teacher, professor, if you are a parent or if you are a brother or sister, I believe teaching all the people, younger generation, what is right, what make you happy,